Would you believe that this little 30 amp plug here has the ability to make me more money than this entire building? There is a million ways to make $1 million. This is a business that nobody talks about. Does over $10 million in revenue. Guess what they do? It rents out for $600 to $950 per night. With all of these options I'm going over today, there are no more excuses. So what if I told you that for about $200 a month, you could find some ugly, unwanted, unloved land like this and turn it into a cash flowing machine that makes you over $10,000 a month? Well, the only thing holding you back from doing that are ideas. Well, that's what this video today is for. I'm gonna show you this many ideas of how you can monetize raw land to its fullest potential. So let's go. This is one of my favorite spots on this property. It's by the water. You can hear the bugs, the frogs, it's quiet and it's shaded just about all day. What does that mean? Monetization. There are several websites that enable you to take quiet spots like this and rent it out to tent campers. CampSpot being the biggest, Tenter with 2 R's, Camp Space, Harvest Host. There's 3 to 5 different peer-to-peer marketplaces that provide the opportunity to rent out mere plots of dirt on your property for $10 to $50 a night. You don't need hookups. They're not expecting hookups. They're not expecting electricity or plumbing or any of that. They just want to go camping, usually with their kids. I'm a customer of these websites because I live in Texas and there aren't a lot of state or national parks here, unfortunately. So we go out to other people's private land and we have a great time camping for about 20 bucks a night. Did you know you can even make money from that empty, unused space on the side of your house? There are 6 different websites that will enable you to rent out this otherwise unused space to people that need to park their car, truck, boat, RV, etc. The 6 that I know of are Truck Parking Club, Neighbor.com, Spacer, Stow It, Curb Flip, and Pavement. What's stopping you from listing any spot on your unwanted, unloved land on all 6 of those websites, optimizing it with professional pictures, keyword-rich description, and waiting for some bookings to come in? Now, one of my favorite business ideas, period, and not just for raw land, is that of portable self-storage. I've got this friend on Twitter that did this in Canada. I'm gonna post the link in the show notes so you can read the full breakdown. But what he did was find a 3 or 4 parcel of land that was on a busy road like this up in Canada. And then he did a lease purchase agreement. He said, hey, I wanna put portable self-storage on this. I don't know if it's gonna work. Let me rent it for X amount per month. And 1 year from now, let's sit down and talk. And if it's working for me, I will buy your property above your asking price. If it's not going well for me, I'll pick up my portable self-storage containers, I'll take my ball and go home. Guess what? It worked way better than he ever imagined. Now he has a 6-figure business that's largely passive because he didn't have to break ground, lay foundation. He bought these portable self-storage containers on a flatbed truck. They dropped him off. He did research on CubeSpot and Square Foot, and he found out that, a 10 by 10 in my area rents for 130 bucks a month, and he became fully booked within 6 months, and now he's copy and pasting this playbook all across the country. I love this idea because A, you can get loans on this equipment. B, private investors are willing to finance the portable self-storage because they can always repo it if it doesn't go well. And C, it's a perfect way to hedge your bets, minimize your risk, own land, monetize land without having to come out of pocket 6 figures for a down payment. I love the pallet reclamation business. So I used to own a third-party logistics company called Send Eats. We would receive massive pallets full of peanut butter and makeup and you name it. And we had too many pallets. We weren't shipping out as many pallets as we received. So I would post these on Facebook Marketplace and just give them away. I would try to sell them, but it was hard. I needed a reliable way to get rid of them because we ran out of space every day in the warehouse. And so if I sold it, then I'd have to negotiate and haggle. And if I just gave it away, then it was much easier. So I met all these business owners that owned pallet reclamation businesses. They go to Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and to local businesses and warehouses, and they take pallets for free. They're providing a valuable service because these businesses that have dumpsters have to pay hundreds of dollars a month to throw this stuff away. They would much rather give it away. It saves them money. So they come in here, they take the pallets for free. They'll use a crowbar, a hammer, and they'll take it apart. They'll disassemble it. They'll fix the broken boards. They'll make it look nice, and then they will turn around and sell them for $5 to $12 each. So it's 100% gross profit margin. Of course, you got gas costs, you've got delivery, you got to put your time into it. You've got to put boards into the broken ones. But some businesses need a reliable supply because they are shipping out more pallets than they're getting in. Some businesses need a reliable way to offload them, and they're usually doing it for free because they don't want to be spending all their time haggling over a $2 pallet on Facebook Marketplace. So there's a big business in here. You build a book of business, you go door to door, you cold call or you email or you text, or you start asking around.
You find a handful of businesses that are consistently getting rid of pallets, or you just go to homeowners that have an extra pallet or two. You can build stuff out of them. I posted this video about a couple that built a bar out of pallets and sold it for a lot of money on Facebook Marketplace. They built a bar out of pallets and rented out to weddings for hundreds of dollars per wedding. There's so many things you can do with pallets, and it's something that you can get for free, but you need somewhere to store it. How about on some unwanted or unloved land? Knock on wood.
All right, this is probably the least approachable, the least affordable of all of these ideas, but it's also probably the most profitable. There's a trade-off there. You build a freaking custom home on it. I've had this home on Airbnb before. It rents out for $600 to $950 per night. That covers the monthly payment in about 6 rentals per month. So I only need 20% occupancy to break even. You list it on VRBO and Airbnb, and then you list it on PeerSpace, which is a website that enables photographers and videographers to rent your space for photo shoots or for filming movies or commercials. It's much cheaper for them to rent something like this for a few hours than to rent a professional studio, but it's just as good, if not better in many cases. Yes, it is very expensive to build a custom home. When I had this house on Airbnb, about 30% of my tenants used it for weddings. And then I thought, how much do weddings even cost? $3,000 to $6,000 just for the venue for half a day. That would cover the monthly payment for this property in one wedding. So what's stopping you from listing on Zola, TheKnot.com, Wedding Wire, Airbnb, Vrbo, PeerSpace, all the places? What would your monthly occupancy percentage be when you take all of those platforms and combine them into one? Close to 100%.
Multiple ideas in one here. This might look like your trash, but this is my treasure. So we reached out to a bunch of tree trimming companies in the area. One of them is mine. Whenever they cut down a huge oak tree, they drop them off here. Multiple reasons. Number one, firewood. Remember, firewood sells for between $400 and $700 per cord. So during the winter time, we split all this up with a hydraulic splitter. We stack it up. I pay some high schoolers to do it, and it helps pay for their college. This is just kind of a passion project. It's nothing for me to really make a bunch of money on. Never underestimate the power of a good hardwood. This is a pecan tree, otherwise known as a hardwood tree. Oak trees are hardwood, maple trees are hardwood. The deciduous stuff, the pine, that's softwood. Hardwood trees are much more valuable. You can sell the firewood for $400 to $900 a cord, depending on the time of the year, depending on where you live. And you can also sell the hardwood to barbecue restaurants or barbecue enthusiasts. You can fetch even more for it as barbecue wood than you can as firewood. I know this because I'm a barbecue enthusiast and I own a firewood business. Granted, you can only cut down a tree once, but my point is a piece of unwanted or unloved land is worth more if it has mature hardwoods on it. Oftentimes the seller or the realtor don't know that. Is it significantly more? 20, 30%? No, but it's marginally more and it's something. You've got shade, you've got something desirable. This tree is well trimmed. I like trimming my trees. But if I were to trim it, then that would provide a bunch of firewood and or barbecue smoking wood that I could sell without having to cut the whole thing down. Okay, this shed represents multiple business ideas. I paid about $7,200 for this shed, all in, including delivery. It is 8 by 18 feet, and it's not just a shed. It also doubles as a she shed, or it can double as a tiny home. Thanks to new reality shows, the costs of tiny homes are outrageous. You can easily pay over $100,000 for a tiny home, easily $50,000 to $80,000. This was $7,200. Why? Because of the framing. I don't mean how this shed was framed. I mean the fact that the seller positioned it as a shed, which you generally cannot monetize. If you want to have a tiny home business and buy unwanted or unloved land, put a tiny home or multiple tiny homes on it and rent it out, you should consider instead buying a shed, either in a kit or fully built and delivered on site as is, as this one was. Because if you finish out the inside, if you come look at this one, I paid about $1,000 to get this wired, throw up some drywall, some paint, some furniture, some fixtures, and you've got a proper tiny home. You could put a loft up top and call it all in $20,000. You can rent it out for $500 to $1,000 a month, make your money back in a couple years. Whereas if you go buy a purpose-built tiny home, you're not gonna make your money back for a decade or more. It's really the same product. We're talking about 4 walls, a foundation, and a roof. It's just a different way of approaching starting a real estate business or a tiny home business. The other idea is actually assembling and or building sheds on site, since you need some land to do that, and selling them on Facebook Marketplace. I had this in-ground trampoline installed recently. I paid way too much for it. The trampoline itself was about $4,000, but the install cost was outrageous. $4,500 for someone to roll up in here with an excavator, spend half a day digging it out. They put some weed barrier down, some landscaping rocks. They installed a $50 water pump, plugged it into the side of the house. That way, when it rains too much, it'll pump all the water out so mosquito larvae don't find a nice place to live. But there's a huge opportunity for heavy equipment parking. Right? If you have unwanted or unloved land, it doesn't matter how rural it is, there are business owners that need to park their trucks, their excavators, their skid steers, you name it. So the company that I hired to dig this thing out, they dig out pools, they dig out trampolines, they level land for new home construction. They need a place to park their stuff. And you can charge between $80 and $250 per month per spot. 43,000 square feet in an acre, and you can make 6 figures of income with truck parking. And there are websites like this one and this one that kind of act like the Airbnb for parking lots and truck parking and semi-trailer parking, and you can use those to acquire customers. In the state of Texas, and every state has similar laws to this, if you buy a parcel that's more than 10 acres, you can get it split up as long as each parcel is 10.01 acres or more. You don't have to get it rezoned. You just need a new survey. So I have a friend that goes out to West Texas. He'll buy a 500-acre plot. As long as it has a lot of road frontage, he will split that up 50 times into 10 lots. I'm making these numbers up, but it's directionally correct. Let's say he buys 500 acres for $500,000. He splits it up into 50 units. He sells them for $20,000 each, and he makes $1 million on his money. He just pays a few $1,000s for his surveying costs. That works all day in every state. Some states more than others. In Texas, if it's under 10 acres, then you got to go through all kinds of approvals. You got to get septic, all kinds of other things. But if you keep it at 10.01 acres or more, then you can still subdivide the land without having to go through all that rigmarole, and you can sell it for a profit. If you see this stuff sticking up right here, these used to be the connections for a double-wide mobile home that was here. When I bought this unwanted and unloved land, it had a mobile home, and I used this as a negotiating tool to buy the property. The owner said, that home's worth $30,000 easy, so he was trying to work that into his negotiation. But I come from the mobile home park world, and I knew that it wasn't even worth 10 grand. So I said, listen, I'm not gonna pay you X amount for it. I'll pay you $20,000 less, and you gotta get the mobile home out of there. He thought that was a win-win because he thought it was worth $30,000. I knew it was worth closer to $10,000. He moved his mobile home. I bought the land at a discount, win-win. But picture this, you buy a piece of land like this for, let's say, $100,000. You find a used mobile home for $30,000. You spend $5,000 to get it hooked up and moved. So you're all in the property, $135,000. Now, when you put the home and the land together, the land's worth over $200,000. Because you're going through the headache, you're adding value to the property. Now it's a place where someone can live. You're just putting two parties together, the landowner and the homeowner. You're putting them together and you're adding value. What's a word that didn't exist 10 or 15 years ago that's all the rage today? Barn-dominiums. Is this a barn-dominium? No, not in its current state, but it could be. When I had this thing built, it was like 60 grand. Today, they're much more expensive. You got to get a 6-inch slab. We've got plumbing run to it and electrical. I'm not trying to oversimplify this, but these metal buildings in a box are outrageously in demand right now for storage, for stuff like pickleball, for barn-dominiums, for wood shops, cabinetry, metal shops, auto repair, auto body, you name it. We have rented this out to several different types of business owners. It's 2,100 square feet and it rents for about $2,500 to $3,500 a month. When you have covered air-conditioned space like this, even if not air-conditioned, even out in a rural area, there is demand for people to store stuff, right? People need to store stuff. This company is paying us every month to store some old electronics. You can charge by the square foot, charge by the month. You can store classic cars. We get requests for all kinds of things to be stored here. One of my favorite businesses that no one ever talks about are tree farms, nurseries. You can buy seedlings and plant them from seedlings, or you can buy seeds and plant the seeds. I love this business because with patience come profits. This is a $200 tree, and live oaks are actually pretty easy to plant from an acorn, whereas a lot of other trees just don't do well from a seed or even from a seedling. They require a lot of babying and they are likely to fail in the first few months. Whereas live oaks, shumard oaks, pecan, cedar elm, and maple trees do really well from a seed. Just consider the unit economics. If you can basically have free water or close to free water and or rely on rainfall, if you live in a rainy area, this is probably a 3 to 4 year old tree. If you can wait, then you can sell these for hundreds of dollars each. You can sell directly to retail through Facebook Marketplace or through Facebook ads, or you can do wholesale. If you drive around and you see all these wholesalers, they're not planting from scratch. They're buying from people like you and I, generally speaking, people with more land, more scale than what I'm referring to here. But you can plant thousands of trees on 1 acre, especially since they're just seedlings, they're small. You can also do the same with blackberry bushes, grapevines, blueberries, etc. Also, life hack, these actually came from Home Depot for 200 bucks, and there was 3 to a pot. I pulled them out of the pot, used a machete, split them into thirds, put them in their own pot, 3 for the price of 1. These are peach trees, 2 different varieties of peach, 2 different varieties of plums, and these will go in the ground when it's a little cooler outside. Now you will have some upfront costs to this business, aside from the seeds or the seedlings. You're gonna have to pay for some irrigation, some tubing. You might have to install a well. Preferably you can find some unwanted, unloved land that already has a well dug, but after your upfront costs are in, there's nothing else. You just wait. You just let Father Time do its magic.
Now, this idea also comes with a lot of asterisks, but if you do have an electrical panel like this with some empty space, you should consider Bitcoin and or crypto mining. I've been in this industry for a while. I've had years where I've done well, and I've had years where I've lost my shirt. So definitely 100% buyer beware. Do your own research. You need a professional electrician to hook it up. Generally speaking, your everyday wall outlet is not gonna cut it. You got to look into things like hash rate, difficulty rate, the price of Bitcoin, how many other miners are mining at any given time. But if certain things can align, you can make really, really good money mining Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Just beware of noise, heat, and space constraints. Believe it or not, my YouTube analytics tells me that 67% of the people that watch my videos are not subscribed to me. They probably think they do, but they're not. So please, this video took a ton of work. It cost a lot of money. All I want you to do is hit subscribe, maybe the notification bell, and I will love you forever. Thank you. Now, you may have seen me post content about this indoor pickleball club that I'm launching. It's gonna be in here. It's air conditioned. We still have to tear out that room. We've got to clean it. We've got to paint the floors. I actually have a portable pickleball court I'll show you that I'm gonna use to get the ball rolling before I spend way too much money to paint these floors. But even in rural areas, there's demand for indoor, air-conditioned, weatherproof, private pickleball play. People can come with their nerdy pickleball friends and hang out, drink drinks, and we're actually gonna put a golf simulator in here, cold plunge, a sauna, and it's gonna be a whole vibe. Now, of course, if you're too rural, that's just not gonna work. I'm not too rural, so that will work for me. So we're in the suburbs of Dallas-Fort Worth. Youth sports is everything here. And there are not enough places for youth sports coaches to train their kids. They can't go to the gyms because the gyms just don't want them there. They don't know what to do with them. They can't go to the schools because the schools are usually practicing. And so that leaves this gap in the market. These coaches are paid between $40 and $200 an hour to do private one-on-one and one-to-group tutoring sessions. Softball, baseball, golf, tennis, pickleball, basketball, especially basketball, football, and baseball, the big 3. So this will be a full court pickleball court. It's 70 by 30 feet, and it will also be a half court basketball court. The fixed hoop will go right there in the middle. The 3-point line will go here. You're gonna pay about $6 to $8 per square foot for concrete. This is 5-inch concrete. There's rebar, it's got a vapor barrier, it's good to go. This costs about $14,000. After the fencing, which you don't have to have, it's just nicer to have, and the lighting and the hoop and everything, I'm gonna be all in this about $32,000. If I were to have hired a general contractor to find all the subcontractors, it would have cost about $50,000 to $60,000. So one business is to be the general contractor, find the subcontractors, and build sport court. You go look at Google Trends for sport court searches, they're booming right now. Or if you have some unwanted or unloved land, you can build your own sport court. And if you build it, they will come if you use Facebook ads. They left that part out of the movie. You can't be too rural for stuff like this. You need parents that are obsessed with kids' sport, so big asterisk on this one. But if you live close enough to human civilization, this could be an amazing business that can pay you between $8,000 and $20,000 a month based on your membership fees or based on your hourly fees that you're charging directly to the tutors. This is a crepe myrtle. I paid about 30 bucks for this 9 years ago. Planted it, it's nice and big now. And this is the gift that keeps on giving because these shoots come up like once every month or so. You get about a half a dozen new shoots. Now, as long as they're not connected to the trunk and they're coming from the ground, you can transplant them into a pot. You can be patient. You can sell it for $30 to $300 years down the line, depending on how big it gets. Now, this next idea is pretty random, but hear me out. So there's this hole-in-one golf challenge in New Zealand. I posted about it a few times. They give you $10,000 if you get a hole-in-one on a floating tee that's about 80 yards out in a lake. What I already did is I took one of these, 100 bucks, to a popular park where kids are playing soccer, held up a sign that said, hey, for $3, we'll give you 1 shot from 30 feet to get a hole-in-one. For $5, we'll give you 3 shots. If you win $100, okay? Less than 5% of people win. It's extremely profitable. It's like a game of challenge. That's a whole other video that you can see in the show notes below. And I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty surprised to see how much money this little hack made. What's the second fastest growing sport in the world right now? Disc golf. Not pickleball, disc golf. This thing costs 100 bucks on Amazon. I have 2 of them. I'm eventually gonna put a 9-hole disc golf course on this property. Is disc golf super profitable? No, but it's cool.
And here's the thing, people will donate to you if you have a disc golf course, or you can charge. Most courses don't charge. You can. What's stopping you? It's cool, it's fun, it's unique. If you build a good reputation for being a good disc golf course, they actually have disc golf vending machines where you can put a vending machine on your property and sell these bad boys for 20 to 30 bucks a pop. Not my favorite business idea, but I think there's a lot to be said for business ideas that are just fun. I have 4 kids between the ages of 9 and 15. They come out here and play. Not everything has to be a cash cow.
Now, especially if you have a natural water source like a dug well, what's stopping you from planting a fruit orchard and selling the fruit to farm stands, individually through e-commerce? Did you know the Peach Truck is a $100 million business selling peaches online? My friend Isaac French, I'll link his video in the show notes, planted a 300 tree fruit orchard that provides tens of thousands of pounds of fruit to his community in Central Texas every year. I think he spent about $75,000 total for buying the trees, the irrigation, the cement, because he has sidewalks throughout. What's stopping you from doing that? You want to do your research on the varieties that work best in your area or in your zone. You may need to cross-pollinate it sometimes, so do your own research, but orchards can actually be a lot more profitable than you might think. There are 2 different websites that allow peer-to-peer EV charging, PlugShare and EV Match. Furthermore, you can contract with Tesla to add supercharging to a property. Of course, they're only going to want to add it to certain properties that are off of a highway, etc. Lots of asterisks on this one. Tesla will pay entirely for all of the transformers and equipment, but they won't allow you to monetize it directly, as in you can't mark up the electricity. Now, if you do have a business, you can monetize the foot traffic, but if you pay Tesla for the transformers and all the equipment, you can mark up the electricity directly. If you add solar or other renewable energy sources, then letting electric car owners use your charger can add up pretty fast.
This is actually a portable pickleball court. It weighs several hundred pounds. Think of it like a wrestling mat, but a lot thinner. It rolls out, it's got lines already on it. You're gonna see another video of me laying this out and basically launching my business with this because it's impermanent. I can prove demand for the product before I go all in and spend way too much money renovating this building. So it's kind of cool that stuff like this exists.
Does this look familiar right here? Of course it doesn't, because you were not on my Christmas card list 5 years ago when we had this picture taken. So this photographer that we used rented this old classic VW van, and she saw our property and she said, I would love to park my van in your yard and have my clients come get their Christmas card pictures taken. If you let me do that, I'll give you your pictures for free this year. That sounds like monetization. We said yes, we got our pictures taken. I got a bunch of wisecrack jokes from my friend who got the card and said, hey, you guys doing all right? Because it looked like we lived in a van. But my point is there are 5 different websites that enable you to take your property, your real estate, your building, your raw land, whatever, and as long as it's somewhat scenic, and you can make it scenic, you can add a wedding arch, you can add all kinds of things. As long as it's somewhat scenic, you can rent out that space by the minute, by the hour, by the day to photographers and to videographers. Those 5 websites are Peerspace, Gigster, Home Studio List, Scouty, and Avay, A-V-V-A-Y. I'll put them all down in the show notes. Again, much like the side yard car parking, what's stopping you from listing your property on all of those websites, optimizing with keyword-rich descriptions and professional pictures, and just waiting for the bookings to come in? If you buy a parcel of land for $50,000, you can get a 30-year mortgage on that. Your 30-year payment on that is gonna be about $200 to $350 a month, less than your car payment. You can't tell me you can't at least cover that payment with all of these options I'm going over today. There are no more excuses. You know what idea is booming right now? Backyard, restaurant, neighborhood pop-up. 3 different types of pop-ups going on. Pizza oven pop-ups, where people will buy this $500 to $1,200 authentic Neapolitan style pizza oven. They'll post to their local Instagram, Facebook groups, Facebook Marketplace, neighborhood, HOA groups, nextdoor.com, and they'll get people to place ahead of time their authentic pizza orders for $10 to $25 per pizza. And then the owner of the home or property will make all the pizza in a day. People will come pick it up, Venmo him in advance, and he'll make $1,000 for an afternoon of making pizza. The same is true with barbecue. Order your brisket ahead of time, your pork butt, or stuff that you want to cook on a Blackstone. So with a $500 investment, really all 3 of these things, not the grill, that was a little more expensive, but all 3 of these cost between $500 and $1,500. So with a relatively small investment and the willingness to post online and to be willing to sell things to your friends and family, you can make a really good income cooking food, which is great for foodies like me that love cooking this stuff anyway. So why not monetize it? And whoever said never monetize your hobbies, they were wrong. Because if your hobby is monetizing things, and you can never go wrong.
We hire what's called an Alaskan sawmill or a portable sawmill. This guy will come in here. These are red oak logs and they're very big. You can make end tables, you can make coffee tables, you can make 2 to 4 inch slabs out of them. You stack them as so, and you let them season for months or years at a time. Then you can sell them by the board foot to woodworkers, to wood enthusiasts. They can turn them on a lathe or they can make furniture out of them. I have a bunch of cedar logs in there, white oak, red oak, live oak. You can actually make a lot of money from this wood if you pay someone about 60 bucks an hour to come here, slice it all up for you, and then you just let it sit. Once it's seasoned, there's no bugs in it, it's dried out, it's done warping, you can sell it for a good bit. And the crazy thing is about all of this, I'm not paying for this wood. When you have land, unwanted or unloved land, you got space to store stuff like this. Remember, 1 acre is 43,000 square feet. All of this takes up about 200 square feet, 0.5% of all that acreage. It's a total win-win situation because these tree trimming companies, they have to pay the dump to take this stuff. They don't have to pay me anything. So they are more than happy to bring it. And I'm very careful to tell them, I don't want your brush, I don't want your small stuff, I don't want your mulch. I just want the big stuff, the valuable stuff. And once again, you can sell this stuff to barbecue smoking enthusiasts or to barbecue restaurants as well if you live in a warmer climate like Texas and you're not able to sell it for more than a few months of the year to people that need to heat their homes. Now I know it's hard to tell, but this is called DG, not Dollar General. I know we're in the middle of nowhere, but decomposed granite, crushed granite. This is a road base and it's literally crushed granite. It's a little more expensive than gravel because it's red, it's got a nice color, it compacts really well, and it also drains, and it also looks good. So it's a good hybrid of those 3 qualities. Now, I spent a few $100s for a whole truckload of this stuff, and I clearly haven't used it yet. That's why it's overgrown with weeds. Once I stick the skid steer in there, those weeds will come right off it, and I'm gonna make a road leading from that entrance to that entrance, from that driveway to that driveway. What I learned in the process of ordering this DG was that if you buy directly from the quarries, you get it at a huge discount. There's this company called Living Earth. They have a bunch of locations across Texas. I think they sell it for like $50 to $70 a yard, a cubic yard. But if you buy directly from the quarry in Oklahoma, it's about $20 a yard. So what you can do is you can use Replit or Lindy to make a lead form ad. You can push paid ads to it and just play middleman. Basically, you're drop shipping decomposed granite, or you can buy it, store it on your unwanted, unloved property, and then just resell it. People can come pick it up. This is a business that people don't think of, but this is a product that people are using on a daily basis. In case you haven't already heard, I have a private community called TK Owners, tkowners.com. There's over 500 people in there, some entrepreneurs, and they're doing stuff like this. They're starting businesses on raw, unwanted land. So if you want some help, some hand holding, some support for almost no money, very little, like the price of a cup of coffee per day, then come join us at tkowners.com and you can cancel anytime. Now, as much as my wife loves watching me split firewood by hand, I get tired. A man gets tired, right? So I paid 1,500 bucks for this bad boy. It's a 27-ton hydraulic splitter. About 6 months ago, I posted a video all about my firewood business, and you can see me using this. It's so fun to use. You put the log here, you pull the lever, and it just splits it cleanly in half. This is a great investment. If you can't find enough customers as a firewood business, you can rent this thing out for about $80 to $90 a day on Facebook Marketplace, because people cut down trees, they want to convert it into firewood, but they have no need to buy a $1,500 splitter, so they'll rent it for you for 80 to 160 bucks and do it themselves. Also, when you have land, you got plenty of space to store stuff like this. What you're looking at right here are the remnants of an old septic system. Now, you would not believe the unit economics of the septic tank business. How many people out there in high school said, I want to grow up and own a septic tank business? Literally no one's ever said that. They're incredibly profitable. It's dirty, it's unsexy, nobody wants to get into it, but the net profit margins are 20 to 40% because no one wants to get into it. You know how many people wanted to come out of here and fix this septic system? Absolutely none. All I wanted to do was add a simple bathroom to my shop, and I knew that this could be fixed because it was working when the mobile home was here, and they all said, nope, you need a new system, $15,000, $15,000. Why are they telling me that? Because they can, because they're in the driver's seat, because there's much more demand than supply. So the takeaway here, start or buy a septic tank repair or installation business. This is a live oak tree, a beautiful live oak tree, and it's probably about 14 inches in diameter. If I were to go to a tree farm, this is about as big as they'll sell them, and this is gonna cost a couple $1,000s. But all over Texas and the United States and the world, there are properties that need to be mulched, that need to be raised because they're building things or they're clearing land. There is a big business between playing middleman between the forestry mulchers, the land clearers, the tree trimming companies, and the people that own what's called a tree spade. If you look at this footage right here, a tree spade is either an attachment to a skid steer or it's a standalone machine that has these 4 hydraulic spades, these blades, sticks into the ground, pulls out the tree, put it in a pot, put it on a truck, transport it, sell it. So instead of the homeowner that needs this cleared paying someone thousands of dollars to shamefully just cut it down, they can instead get it removed for free. They don't have to pay anyone. And that middleman can find the homeowner or the landowner. It can find the person that wants a mature tree. Maybe they don't want to pay $2,500 for it. Maybe they want to pay $1,000 for it. And you can take the spread between those two parties. You could actually own the spade. They cost about $4,000. Or you could just find a guy that has one. You play middleman. He does all the work. You or him deliver it. And we don't have to cut down as many trees. You just transplant it. All right, fiber optic cable. So this road up here has fiber laid from Frontier, a communications company. That road, which is closer to my house, does not have fiber. I wanted fiber, so I paid some guys $500 to come in here with a ditch witch, dig a trench from here to that property, and lay fiber optic cable. From that road to that road, now I have fiber internet. That is an entire industry, laying fiber optic cable, finding customers that almost never leave. When they sell the house, the new homeowners become your customers. This guy's making 6 figures a year with very little overhead. He does have upfront costs. Of course, it's not cheap to lay the fiber, but once it's laid, it's gonna be there for decades. Then you just go find homeowners that want faster internet. People think that the big companies like AT&T and Spectrum own that market. No, there's so much left for the taking, especially out here in rural areas. So you can use your unwanted, unloved land to store fiber optic cable, to buy and rent out ditch witches, to just run your business out of. If you own the ditch witch and you want to dig trenches for fiber optic cable or for fiber optic cable companies, there's a million ways to make $1 million. All right, look at this freaking thing right here. This is a dirty, yucky, icky pond. Now this business is less something that you can do with unwanted land, more something that you can monetize with someone else's unwanted land. About a year ago, I interviewed these college students right here, linked to the interviews in the show notes. They're up in Chicago and they were at this lake and they were just doing landscaping stuff for this woman. She lived on a lake. This lake she lived on, which was much bigger than this, had yucky seaweed and weeds growing all around her dock. And she said, listen, my grandkids want to swim in this water, but they can't. It's disgusting. Can you clean this out? Their first gut instinct was to say, no. How do you clean a lake? But then they're like me, they say yes to everything. And they said, yeah, we'll see what we can do. So they literally drove to Home Depot, bought $20 rakes, the ones that look like this, and they just stood waist deep in the water. I've got some pictures here. And they just started raking the bed of this lake and it floated to the top, and then they would grab it all up and throw it up on the shore. It took hours, but they made like $500. And then guess what happened? The neighbor came out, and then the other neighbor came, hey, can you do mine? I didn't even know this was possible. I didn't even know this was the thing. And their whole sales pitch was, we don't use chemicals. It's all natural. They started this business. It's like J&D Lake Services. They're making 6 figures a year and they're college students. Now they're thriving. And this one guy saw what they were doing and said, hey, I have this $200,000 lake cleaning machine. It's like a skid steer that floats. And he said, I'll lease it to you. Don't pay me anything down. He was just a good guy that wanted to help out some young entrepreneurs. It looks like this. And they leased it to him. Now they're making a ton of money and they're going all in on this business. This is something that almost no one is doing. This is a brand new industry, and I love it because you can fish where the fish are. You can use third-party tools to find all the homes that have ponds or that live on lakes. You don't have to do that manually. There's other third-party websites and databases out there that will give you the information of these people. Then you just reach out to them and say, hey, I bet you no one's ever offered to clean your pond or your lake before. I'll do that. You can charge hundreds of dollars per hour. You don't need any expensive, heavy equipment to start. Is it easy? Of course not. It's sweaty, it's hard. You're gonna get leeches on your legs. I'm not saying this is easy or even fun, but it's entrepreneurship and you pick your battles. You're gonna have problems and hardships and icebergs to get around in every business. And this one is one that is brand new. This industry is brand new. So if someone knocked on my door and said, hey, I'll clean out your pond, I would say yes. I would pay them because I'm not about to get in there. So go clean some lakes and ponds.
There will soon be a pool where I'm standing right now. Why? A, so my family can enjoy a pool. B, because you can monetize a pool in several different ways. First of all, have you heard of Swimply, Swimmy, or Resort Pass? Those are businesses much like Airbnb, that allow people to monetize their pools by renting them out to other individuals by the hour or by the day. Some people, especially in warmer climates like Phoenix, San Diego, Los Angeles, they will rent a house that has a pool, not even live in the house, and only use it to rent out the pool in the backyard on Swimply and Swimmy. Some of them are making 6 figures a year. You can charge extra for catering and drinks and for a lifeguard, toys, and this industry is booming right now as the sharing economy continues to boom.
The thing about living in the city is you don't know what problems that rural folk like myself have. I am sitting inside a 30-inch diameter, 20-foot culvert that I had cut in half and delivered to my property for $900. And I bought it from a company that does 7 figures a year, and guess what they do? They sell culverts. That's it. Most people will go their whole lives never hearing or saying the word culvert because it doesn't apply to them. Well, I have this property and it's split in half by this ditch, and I wanted to drive from the front to the back of it, and I couldn't. So I had to put in these massive culverts. I started by putting in these smaller ones right here, and they quickly got washed out. Now I got these two 30-inch diameter culverts. I rented an excavator, $600. I spent the day having a blast, putting dirt on it, taking dirt from there, putting it right there. And it taught me that there is a big market for culverts. I looked at the Google keyword tool. I looked at Google Trends. People are searching for culverts. They're hard to find. With the increase of people buying rural properties and trying to live that farm lifestyle post-COVID, there is a big demand for culverts, large and small. PVC, corrugated metal, corrugated plastic, these ribbed ones right here. And so oftentimes when a municipality widens a road or improves or lays fiber or improves their culverts, they just get rid of it. They pay someone to take it away. I actually found these culverts just driving around, and the city was throwing them away. And I said, hey, can I take these? They said, sure. Took them, listed them on Facebook Marketplace, and they're gone. I sold them. Hundreds and thousands of dollars for all of them combined. There is a market for finding and or buying and or selling used and new culverts. You buy directly from the manufacturer, you store it on your land, you list it on Facebook Marketplace. If your organic listings don't get enough traction, you boost it. You pay for some boost and people come pick it up. Or for an extra $200 to $300, you throw it on a trailer and deliver it to them. I'm calling this business Culvert City, California. So this is my friend's trailer. I'm letting him store it here for free because he's a friend. But when I list this thing on Facebook Marketplace, the vast majority of the demand is from people that want to park their equipment here. Not like someone that owns or rents out 1 or 2 skid steers or excavators. I'm talking about an industrial company or a general contractor that has 3 flatbed trailers, 4 box trailers, a cement truck. These guys have all kinds of different equipment. They always want it fenced, and I don't want them to do that, so I usually say no. They don't even want what's in the building. They just want to rent the land, and they prefer for it to be fenced. That's also a big business.
Would you believe that this little 30 amp plug here has the ability to make me more money than this entire building that it's attached to? And no, of course, you don't need a building for a 30 amp plug. This is just a plug for an RV. Preferably it was 50 amp, but this is how I bought it. I can now list out this space right here to RV campers on websites like CampSpot, The Dirt, Boondockers Welcome, Campendium, Harvest Host, and I think a couple more. Better yet, if you have your own RV and you have it parked here, you can of course rent it out for even more because people don't have to bring their own RV. It's basically an RV park, but just with 1 pad. If you have more demand than you can fulfill, add in more plugs, more pads, septic system, connect it to the city sewer, and you've got yourself an RV park, which I've been buying those for the last 7 years. It's a great business.
All right, so if you look behind me, you'll see a huge line of cars. To 99% of people, that looks like noise complaints, that looks like hard time getting out of your driveway, lack of privacy. To me, I see money. I see capitalism. That's why I bought this property. I paid $160,000 for this lot. At the time, it was worth about $300,000, and the reasons were twofold. Number one, this traffic. Yes, it's been a while since I bought this property, but this traffic was bad even back then. I live within 30 minutes of 4 of the fastest growing cities in the country. The second reason I got a good deal for my property is because of the shape. It's very, very narrow. It's a weird shape. People didn't like it. It was unloved. It was unwanted. That's the whole purpose for this video. Today, this same lot, despite its location on a busy road, despite its awkward shape that it still has, is worth $750,000. It's far outpaced the appreciation of the other homes and lots around here because I was willing to take that bet. How can you monetize 22,000 cars driving by a day? Where do I even begin? For my tree trimming business, I wrap my truck, I park it out here. Every time we have a car that we need to sell, I park it out here. If a car's worth $20,000, according to Kelley Blue Book value, I can sell it for $22,000 because more eyeballs equals more money. Think of it this way. If I was selling a widget and I tweeted about it to my 1,000 followers, followers, that widget is worth $100. I could sell it for $100. If Elon Musk, the most followed person on Twitter, tweets about that same object for sale, what could he sell it for? $1,000, $300? No matter what it is, he could sell it for much more, not because he's Elon Musk, but because of that many more eyeballs, millions of eyeballs seeing it. That's more demand. Fixed supply plus increasing demand equals increasing price. That's economics 101. So I used to have a business called Presto Cars. It was a concierge car buying service. We would go to the Mannheim and Odessa auctions and we would buy cars at wholesale at the exact same price, the wholesale price that used auto dealerships get their cars for. Then I would bring that car home. I'd pay $13,000 for it. I would park it right there with a for sale sign and I would sell it for $17,000. You do that once a week, that's $16,000 a month of net profit. Are there headaches? Of course! I ran out of gas, they would break down. It was a pain, but it was profitable. And it was all made possible because of this lot that gets 22,000 cars, 22,000 eyeballs driving by it every single day. So that's why this is my #1 favorite idea, because of the optionality. If you buy a lot, especially if it's zoned residential, because residential buyers do not value this. In fact, they don't like traffic. But if you're willing to look at it from a capitalistic perspective, a monetization perspective, then you can sell anything you want. Billboard, cars, signage, wrapped vehicles, farm stand, lemonade, waters, it doesn't matter. Best and highest use. So every time I see these cars out front, I smile to myself and think, capitalism. If you live in the United States, you need to look into what's called the USDA Rural Development Loan. This loan has no PMI, no mortgage insurance, as in less fees. And if your land or property is in a specific area, there's a map online where you can look at all this. If it's in an area and your credit is not terrible, it doesn't have to be amazing, but if it's not terrible, you can qualify for 0% down for a government-backed loan through most legitimate banks. There are some restrictions. One of the restrictions is you can only use it on raw land if you plan to build a building or a piece of real estate on it. I believe it does qualify for stick-built homes, modular homes, and manufactured homes. There are income limits, but the interest rates are even lower than FHA loans. And if you want only raw land and to never put anything on it, this will unfortunately not work for you. You should also look into master lease agreements. It doesn't always apply to only raw land, but I've used this on some RV park deals where, let's say you can't afford to buy the land cash, or you can't find a loan, or you can't afford a down payment. You basically make lease payments to the owner, but all of the cash flow over and above those lease payments go to you. This is very similar to a lease purchase agreement in that it enables you to lessen your risk before going all in on an asset. And then later on, 1, 3, 5 years down the line, you have the option to purchase the property and or business on the property at a predetermined price if it has been going well thus far. Bonus idea for you. I have a friend in North Carolina that has a $650,000 a year business. Over half of that is profit. And all he does is he set up a tracker that looks at Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace for people getting rid of sheds. Generally speaking, they're giving them away for free because no one wants a shed. No one even thinks to take a used shed, or they will pay to get rid of it because they're selling the house and the new buyer has said, I'm not closing until that shed is gone. So they go to Facebook Marketplace, they post it. What he does is he says, hey, either I'll come get it for free or pay me and I'll come get it. And he has a little machine where he goes and puts the forks underneath the shed, lifts it up, puts it on the back of his flatbed truck. And by the time he puts it on his truck, it's already sold. He gets pictures of it from the seller before he even goes and sees it in person. Then he will list it on Facebook Marketplace with free delivery included, because that's the big hang up. Who has a massive flatbed truck that looks like this? No one. And then he'll sell it for $400 to $2,000 and he gets it for free. It's just his time. Yes, those flatbed trucks can be expensive. You can rent them to prove out the business model before going all in on it. But this is a business, the shed flipping or shed delivery business, that nobody talks about. He supplements about 30% of his income by going through shed companies. Every time they sell a shed, they need someone to deliver it. They're not in the delivery business. They'll call him up, pay him $400 to $500 to go pick up the shed from the lot and deliver it. So multiple business ideas all in this one shed. You can assemble them and build them, get some plans online, learn how to do it, get a table saw, get a chop saw, sell them on Facebook Marketplace for a slight profit. You can upgrade to more custom jobs. You can build sheds on site. You can move sheds. You can store sheds. You can convert sheds into tiny homes, rent them out per month, or just sell it as an actual tiny home. Buy a shed, finish it out, resell it as an actual tiny home. I just love this. Also, fun fact, there's a business called shedramps.com that does over $10 million in revenue. Guess what they do? They make and they build and they sell shed ramps. Some of them imported from China, some of them built on site from their factory. There are a million ways to make $1 million.
In case you haven't noticed, the YouTube algorithm is like freakishly good, and it feels very strongly that this video right here is going to be perfect for you. So please go ahead and watch it because it'll probably help you make more money. Also, thank you for watching this whole video. I really appreciate your time and effort in watching this. If you know someone, entrepreneur, it doesn't matter. It would mean a ton if you share this video with them because maybe it could change their life.